You had a coffee at 2 in the afternoon. It's 11 at night and you're lying in the dark, wide awake, wondering why. Those two facts are connected, but almost certainly not the way you think. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about caffeine. There is no energy in it, none, not a single calorie of usable fuel. Caffeine has never once made you less tired. What it does is something far stranger and far more useful to understand. So let me tell you what's actually going on in your head. I used to think caffeine was basically fuel. You're running low, you top up, you go again. That's not what's happening at all. Caffeine doesn't add anything to you. It takes something away. It takes away your ability to notice how tired you already are. And once you see the mechanism, two things change. You stop being confused about why the afternoon cup wrecks your night, and you stop blaming yourself for a crash that was always going to come. So, what caffeine actually does, why it's still in your body at bedtime, what it does to your sleep even on nights you fall asleep just fine, why it stops working, and how to actually use it. Because this is not a video about quitting coffee. Start with tiredness itself. Where does it come from? All day long, while your brain is running, it produces a molecule called adenosine. And adenosine builds up. Hour by hour, it accumulates, and it docks into receptors in your brain. Think of each one of those dockings as a click of pressure. That's sleep pressure. It's the thing that makes your eyelids heavy at 11 at night and doesn't at 11 in the morning. Adenosine isn't a poison. It's a gauge. It's your brain's honest report on how long you've been awake. Now here's where caffeine comes in. Caffeine is shaped just enough like adenosine to fit into those same receptors. But, and this is the whole thing, it doesn't activate them. It just sits there. Scientists call this an antagonist. It occupies the lock without turning the key. So the adenosine shows up, ready to deliver its message, and it finds every parking spot taken. The signal never lands. And here's the part I want you to really sit with. Your brain does not stop making adenosine while caffeine is in the way. It keeps producing it. The tiredness keeps accumulating. It's all still there, piling up behind the block with nowhere to go. So you don't feel less tired, you lose the ability to feel it. The gauge didn't go down. Somebody put tape over the gauge. Okay, so the block eventually wears off. The question is when, and this is where most people are wildly wrong. Caffeine's half-life, the time it takes your body to clear half of it, is, in healthy adults, somewhere between 3 and 7 hours. The average is about 5. So let's do the math on that 2 o'clock coffee. Say it's a standard cup of brewed coffee, about 95 milligrams. By 7 in the evening, roughly half of it is gone, which means half of it isn't. And by 11, when you're getting into bed, you've still got somewhere around 29% of that caffeine circulating in your bloodstream. Not a trace, not basically nothing. Nearly a third of the dose, still active, still occupying receptors, while you're wondering why you can't drift off. But here's what makes this genuinely tricky, and it's the part I find most interesting. That 5-hour figure is an average, and you are not an average. Caffeine is broken down almost entirely by a single liver enzyme called CYP1A2. It handles about 95% of the job. And how fast your version of that enzyme works is largely genetic. When researchers measure it, caffeine clearance varies up to 40-fold between individuals. 40-fold. And it's not just genes. If you smoke, you clear caffeine roughly 30 to 50% faster. If you take oral contraceptives, your half-life is approximately doubled. The same cup lingers twice as long. Pregnancy, body weight, even altitude all shifted. So when your friend says, "Oh, coffee doesn't affect my sleep," they might be telling the truth about themselves. Their half-life might genuinely be 3 hours where yours is 7. Same cup, same time. For them, it's mostly gone by bedtime, and for you, it's still nearly half there. This is not willpower, it's an enzyme. Now, this is the part that changed how I think about caffeine entirely, because you might be sitting there thinking, fine, but I fall asleep fine after coffee, so this doesn't apply to me. In 2013, a team led by Christopher Drake ran a study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. They gave healthy normal sleepers 400 milligrams of caffeine, that's roughly 2 to 3 cups, at 3 different times, right at bedtime, 3 hours before bed, and 6 hours before bed. And then they measured what actually happened to their sleep. Not asked, measured. All three timings significantly disrupted sleep. Even the 6 hours before group, people who'd had their last coffee a full 6 hours before their head hit the pillow, lost more than an hour of total sleep. And now, the finding that I think is the single most important thing in this entire video. Those people did not know. When researchers asked them about their sleep, their own subjective reports did not detect the disruption. They lost over an hour of sleep, and they reported feeling fine about it. Think about what that means. The same molecule that hides your tiredness also hides the damage it's doing to your sleep. "I sleep fine on coffee" is exactly what the people who lost an hour of sleep also said. You are not a reliable instrument here. That's not an insult. It's the whole finding. Caffeine specifically disables the instrument you'd use to detect the problem. And it's not only about how long you sleep. Evening caffeine also lengthens how long it takes you to drop off, cuts your total sleep, and shortens your deep sleep. It measurably reduces slow wave activity, the deepest, most restorative part of your night. So you can technically be asleep for 8 hours and be getting a thinner, shallower version of it. Now, I want to be honest about the limits of that study because I'm not going to oversell it to you. 12 people is a small sample, and 400 milligrams in one hit is a decent dose. 2 or 3 cups, not a single espresso. So this isn't one macchiato destroys your night, but the direction is unambiguous, it's held up, and it's the empirical basis for the advice you're about to hear. So what about the crash? You know the one? 2, maybe 3 hours after the cup, you fall off a cliff. Foggy, irritable, worse than before you drank it. Here's the leading explanation, and I'm flagging that word deliberately. Leading, not proven. Remember all that adenosine that kept piling up behind the block? When the caffeine finally clears and releases those receptors, all of it arrives at once, not gradually, at once. Every message that got held at the door gets delivered in the same moment. That's the crash. You didn't lose energy, you got handed the bill. I'll be straight with you. That mechanism makes sense. It's consistent with everything we know about how adenosine works, and it's repeated everywhere. But the strong primary evidence for it is thinner than for the sleep data I just gave you, so hold it a little more loosely than the rest. The same goes for tolerance. Why does the cup that used to work stop working? The explanation is that your brain adapts to being constantly blocked by building more adenosine receptors, a process called upregulation. More locks, so the same amount of caffeine covers a smaller fraction of them, which would mean you need more just to reach the same baseline. And it's a tidy story, but the solid evidence for that upregulation comes from studies in rats and mice, so let's call it a well-supported hypothesis in humans, not a settled fact. What surprised me was how much of the popular caffeine science is delivered with total confidence when the animal-to-human leap hasn't fully been made. So how do you actually use this? Not quit caffeine. I'm not going to tell you that, and the evidence doesn't support it. First, and this is the one that matters most, give it a 6-hour buffer. That's not a round number somebody made up. It's exactly where Drake's data lands. 6 hours before bed still cost people an hour of sleep. So if you're going to bed at 11, your hard stop is 5 in the afternoon. And if you're a slow metabolizer or you're on the pill, push it earlier. Your enzyme, your cutoff. Second, respect the ceiling. The FDA puts 400 milligrams a day as the amount not generally associated with negative effects for healthy adults. That's about 4 8-ounce cups of brewed coffee. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, that guidance drops to 200. And know your sources because they vary enormously. Brewed coffee runs around 95 milligrams a cup, an espresso shot about 63, a Red Bull about 80. But in one analysis of real cafe servings, an Americano averaged 143 milligrams while a light pour-over came in at 23. 6-fold difference, same word on the menu. Third, and this follows directly from everything we just covered, stop using caffeine to paper over a sleep debt you keep reborrowing. The mistake I see people make is treating the afternoon cup as free. It isn't free. It's a loan against tonight at an interest rate you can't feel. So here's where I land on caffeine. It's not the villain, it's genuinely one of the most useful, best studied, and safest tools we have. I drink it, I'm not giving it up, and I'm not asking you to. But it's not fuel. It never was. It's a mute button on a signal your body is sending you for a reason. And the signal doesn't stop just because you can't hear it. It keeps building, right up until the moment the tape comes off. So use it early, use it on purpose, and when you feel that afternoon dip and reach for the cup that'll cost you an hour of tonight's sleep, a cost you have now learned from actual data that you will not be able to feel. Just make it a decision instead of a reflex. That's the whole ask. If you want the full toolkit for deeper, steadier sleep, the kind that means you need less rescuing at 3 in the afternoon, the free Deep Sleep Protocol lays it out. No pills, no gadgets. Download it at sleepmetricscience.com. And if you want the other side of this, what your brain is doing while you're actually asleep, watch the sleep paralysis video next. Subscribe and sleep well.